What's up, guys? It's Zach here with Zach Chavis Films, and I hope everybody had a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And I'm so excited to be back to bring you more content, more helpful advice and tips for any wedding videographers or filmmakers in general that could help you in your next shoot. Thank you guys for your patience as well. It's been a while. Thank you for all the helpful comments, the likes. All that stuff helps and means a lot. It means that I'm helping somebody and giving somebody some type of advice that they can use in a real world situation, which is something that I always wish that I had, which is why I think YouTube is such a helpful tool when it comes to videography in general. So thank you guys again. So this is the first video of a series that I'm going to start, tips for wedding videographers on the wedding day. There's so much that goes into making a successful wedding film way before you actually start shooting on a wedding day. There's the prep, there's the client meetings that you go with, the business side that, of course, not everybody always loves. I get it, but there's a lot. And I wanted to kind of break down some things that really just work for me. Not necessarily what may be best for everyone, but I can just tell you my experience, how it's helped me, and you can use that, for your own business and your own wedding day checklist that you go through. So, and the first video, of course, is going to be about gear prep. Now, this is the topic that everyone loves to talk about. It's probably the most buzz-worthy thing that, if you go to YouTube and you type in videography, the videos with the highest view counts are the ones that talk about gear reviews, gear comparisons. And I get it too. I mean, those are the videos that I like watching as well. I'm a very big gear fanatic. Cameras, lenses, tripods, lights, all that stuff. But more so the basics that you would probably need to get started. And you can build off once you get a good base off. So of course, common knowledge is that you're gonna need good cameras. If you're shooting solo, which, in the beginning you might only have the option to shoot solo until you get a reliable list of second shooters that you can call on. You wanna have, of course, one, ideally two at the minimum. For me, for instance, for a ceremony, I usually use 3 minimum, sometimes 4. If I have the extra hands to help manage those cameras. And for anybody that's saying that might be overkill, if you have the manpower to man those cameras, it's not. I always think more shots to cut to, the better, the more variety you can give your film. But if you're shooting solo, 2 at a minimum, 1 to put on a tripod for ceremony and speeches and stuff like that. And then of course, your main camera is what you'll have either handheld or gimbal that you can get creative shots with. Couples walking down the aisle, crowd reactions, different viewpoints, different angles and stuff that you can use. So right now, the camera that I'm actually filming this on is the Sony FX6. That's usually my A camera. I also have an FX3 that I'll throw on a tripod, or for me, I usually have a second shooter. Sometimes I have 2 other shooters with me. For me, the most stressful parts of the day are the speeches and the ceremony, because there's so much involved with the audio and checking levels, the different viewpoints, and making sure that I'm capturing everything that I would want captured on my wedding day. Like I just finished talking about, during the ceremony, there's more than just the couples coming down the aisle and then them reading their vows at the altar. There is crowd reactions. When the bride is coming down the aisle herself, not only do you want to get her coming down the aisle, but you want to get the reaction of the groom as well. There's different angles that I like to get, whether it be a sweeping shot of the entire ceremony area, or maybe even a drone shot that is possible when you have enough hands with you to help. But this is just the reason why having at least 2, ideally 3 cameras is probably the best situation to be in. Now, as far as the whole second shooter goes, I'll probably address that in a different video. But it's not always as easy as you think getting a second shooter. I've been lucky enough to work with the same consistent guys and girls pretty much for the last 2 years, and we have a good network of helping each other out. And I can't stress this enough, but that's why community is so important as a wedding videographer. Some of my biggest leads comes from my friends who might not be available on that day, and they'll pass it to me. So just a little tip for you when you're trying to get more weddings and book more weddings. Just building a good community could go a long way. Next is the lenses. The lens choice for wedding days varies so much. Everybody has their preferences, whether it be primes or zooms. But for the basics, there's 2 lenses that I'd say that pretty much would cover all bases for a wedding day, and that's a 24 to 70 zoom and a telephoto lens. So of course, for example, like a 70 to 200, but anything within that 85 to 200 range is really good for those ceremony shots or reception shots where you might not want to get in the photographer's viewpoint, and you have some space between your camera and the couple. So of course I said these are the basics. These aren't my favorite lenses to use, but 24-70 could pretty much get any shot that you can think of. In any situation. It's wide enough, so if you want to get a setting or a scene, you can get a tight shot. If you want a profile shot, or if you want a tight shot of the bride or groom. So it's a very diverse lens, and it doesn't have to be a Sony G Master lens. That's the one I use, but there's a lot of alternatives. Sigma has a great 24-70. Tamron has a 28-75, which isn't as wide, but still very effective. It was one of my first lenses when I bought my Sony camera, and it's very affordable too. So if you're looking for a good lens to get you started with shooting weddings, look at Tamron's 28-75 2.8. For me, what I'm shooting on mostly on my FX6, I use the 51.2 a lot. And this isn't a common lens for a lot of wedding filmmakers, but for me, I love the separation that I can get. I love that focal length. It's one of my favorites. And I shoot handheld, and I think that this paired with a handheld camera is a very good combo to me. And keep in mind, I always have a second shooter with me that probably has a 24-70, just in case I need to get a wide shot. So if you're wondering, well, what do I do if I need to get a wide shot, or if the room isn't big enough, then that would be a time where I defer to my second shooter. He'll have the FX3 with a 24-70. So we're pretty much covered on all bases there. Another prime I like to use on a wedding day is a 35 1.4. Again, a little bit wider. And I just love that separation you get. And I usually put this on a gimbal, which I think is a great pairing. A 35 on a gimbal looks really good. It's very smooth. So that's just some stuff that I like to do. Those are my preferences on a wedding day. Again, this isn't for you. I'm just telling you what I like and the shots that I can get from these setups. Audio. Now, guys, I've said this before on this channel. Audio is just as, if not more important than the cameras and the lenses that you pick. The visuals and the images that you get from your camera are only half the story. When it comes to storytelling, you need those vows to kind of help carry the story along. You need those reactions from the groom when he sees his bride for the first time. You need the speeches from mom and dad when they give these heartfelt speeches of how they feel about their children and giving them away on the wedding day. So audio is extremely important, and I recommend sooner than later to kind of get the basics of getting good audio on a wedding day. 3 pieces of audio that I encourage all filmmakers to kind of invest in: lapel mics, which is what I have now, DJI Mic 2, the version 1. The Mic 2 is probably what I would go to if you don't have any of, if you don't have a lapel mic at all. A recorder, I have the Zoom recorder, the H4n, and this is what you would use to connect to a DJ's soundboard and get a feed directly from the DJ. And then a shotgun mic. The shotgun mic is what you would put on your camera itself. It's really convenient if you're capturing something in the spirit of the moment. It also helps get great ambient noises, which is what I work into the films often. And sound design is a great topic itself to kind of research when it comes to the editing process. But those are the 3 pieces of audio that definitely come in handy on a wedding day: the lapel mics, a shotgun mic, and a recorder. One extra thing that I would encourage you to look up, it's a microphone called the Sony TX660. It's a very small mic, and the reason that this is so helpful is because during speeches, it's tough when you use lapel mics. So normally for us, we'll have the recorder to the DJ soundboard, we'll have lapel mics for the speakers, and then a shotgun mic for ambient audio. And that lapel mic is probably the clearest source for the most part. You never know what you're gonna get hooking into the DJ soundboard. But with the lapel mics, it's tough if there's more than 2 speakers, maybe 3 or 4 speakers, which oftentimes there are. And then switching mic to different people is a little inconvenient. But with that Sony mic, you can use what's called a mic sleeve, clip that right to the microphone, and when that happens, you just have the mic on the microphone, and as each speaker passes it along, you get the same consistent audio source. I know that was a mouthful and I probably didn't explain that very well, but look it up. It's really good. Matt Johnson has a good video about it. I think it's a short, and he explains and has visuals to show you exactly how it looks. So it's a great, nifty tool that comes in handy on a wedding day. Next on that gear list is tripods. I'm currently using the Small Rig Freeblazer, which is a great tripod. Very sturdy, not exactly heavy duty. I mean, it's somewhat heavy duty, not like the Satchler tripods or anything like that, but it's great for the cameras that I use that are equipped with monitors, mics, and have a lot of weight on them. It's very tall when you extend it, and it's very compact when you need to pack it away. But tripods, guys, are one of those things that you can't really get around. You're gonna need a tripod at some point. And not just for those ceremony shots or speeches, but a lot of the times I like shots that are stagnant or static, you know, no movement at all. Sometimes the framing is more important than just moving left to right, which is what everybody wants to do, especially when you have a gimbal. But sometimes framing can be very, very beautiful, and it makes your shots that much more intentional. So tripods are something that you're going to have to get. Like I said, Small Rig has a good variety. There's different brands. Manfrotto has been in the game a long time, and they have some great tripods. But that'd be something that's worth researching and seeing what you like. I can only tell you what I have, and that's Small Rig. Lights. Now, lighting is somewhat intimidating if you've never had any experience with it, but you definitely will need to invest in lights when you're ready. You don't have to buy all this stuff at one time. But Justin Porter had a great video that talks about reception lighting and why it's so important. One of the things that he talked about is that if you don't have good lighting, the drop off of quality from the wedding day when you're out in the light, you're using natural light, everything's beautiful. You have all these beautiful decorations and decor that are full of color. And then you get to the evening time and the light starts to fade and your colors become murky, everything's become gray. And there's a tremendous drop off of quality with that. So to combat that, for the reception space, which is usually when the light, starts to lessen and you're heading into those sunset hours, you light the reception area with your own lighting. Usually I have two lights with me, and they're both Amaran. I have an Amaran 300C and an Amaran 150D. Don't pay attention to those numbers, but they're two very strong lights, video lights, that I put in opposite corners of the reception space. And this saves me a ton when it comes to those first dances, the speeches, and the reception dancing and all the other things that take place during the reception. And the exit, you need lighting for all this stuff. Of course, these cameras that we use, they have a great low light sensitivity, great sensors, but don't let that be your crutch as to not lighting the reception space the way you want to. And lights are getting more and more affordable these days. They're getting smaller these days. So look into some good lights that'll be great for you to use during the reception space to help that quality carry out through the wedding day. Guys, I'm not gonna make this list too long, but the last thing I'm gonna say that will be helpful on a wedding day is external batteries. Me personally, I hate changing batteries when I'm running gun on a wedding day. It's just very much a hassle. It stops me, it slows me down. It's one more thing to keep in the back of my mind. But if I have an external battery, I can pretty much shoot all day without worrying about power source. Small Rig again, and this isn't a sponsor. My channel's not big enough for that yet. But I use the Small Rig V-mount batteries. These guys have never failed me. I use them on my FX3 and on my FX6. On the FX6, I have actually used the beefier version, which is the 212 Small Rig battery. And these batteries are convenient, not just for using them on your camera, but they can charge some of your other accessories. They can power your lights, they can charge your phone, etc. So these are very important and crucial to me on my wedding day when it comes to making sure that I don't have to change batteries and that my camera doesn't die at an inopportune time. Which is possible if you're using just the camera batteries. So guys, I know that was a mouthful. I just want to give you a helpful list of things that I check off when I'm prepping for the wedding day the day before. There are tons of things that I did not mention, but if I did mention everything, I'd probably be giving you an hour-long video. But these are the basics. There's plenty of other stuff that you guys can put in the comments to help you out. And guys, again, thank you for always supporting. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, feel free to leave a like and a follow. And we can't wait to bring you more content. Thanks, guys.